Okay, so this is generally the interface you'll see, and if you're using it with a computer, as I mentioned, I would recommend you pin my video in the middle so that even if someone else talks, I will stay up in the middle, especially if I'm presenting something, you're going to want that to be the case. Keep in mind that you can turn your audio on and off using this button, and you can turn your video on and off using this button. Be aware that when those things are on, people can see and hear you. So you guys have maybe seen a thing going around where this woman didn't realize she was on video in a video chat and started going to went to the bathroom with her computer and then started going to the bathroom on video chat. So don't do that. I'm pretty sure someone was smoking a joint on my earlier video meeting because they didn't realize they were on video. So I'd be really careful about that. Brendan, let me get to some questions in a minute here. You can change the layout by doing this change layout thing. There's different sort of versions of this thing. You might want to just do the spotlight thing and then pin me in the middle. It's completely up to you. But that's generally how this service works here. Let me remind myself what I wanted to think about. All right. Okay. So we're in this situation. We're online. It's not the end of the world. We can do it. I think I'm pretty well prepared and technologically savvy enough to move things online and make videos and be supportive and all that kind of thing. The thing that's kind of a downside, or the tricky part of it from my perspective, is your participation and your motivation in doing these things. So I worked very hard already. I worked very hard last week, every single day, to get the course sort of going and online, and I will continue to work very hard. And I'm hoping that you will work hard and take things seriously and do what you need to do on your end, because there's going to be sort of less hand-holding, less check-ins from me, less on me, more on you in this process. Again, I can support you very well, I think, in this setting. You just need to really give it your all. So my goal here in general is to flip class in some sense. Sometimes people call it a flipped class approach, where I'm going to be posting videos ahead of time, and then we're going to meet here together during our normal class time, and you can ask questions about it. Now, that meeting is required in the sense that you should come, because that's the best way to get help with the material. It's not necessarily required in the sense that if your schedule changed, or for some reason or another that time doesn't work for you, I'm not going to take attendance outside of today. I'm taking attendance today just mainly so I can figure out who I need to contact who wasn't here. But I think at this point, everyone, let me see if those last couple people I believe have made it. Yep. And we're still maybe missing one person here. But anyway, I'm not going to sort of take attendance and check up on you and mark you off for not coming to this session. This session is your opportunity to get help with the material, and so you should take it seriously and come if you can. My sense is that these sessions won't be 75 minutes long. I'm happy to be around for that amount of time, but more than likely, if you're watching the videos and doing what you should be doing, you're just going to have some questions about the material or the homework or something like that that may take 10 to 30 minutes to sort of go through questions, go through homework questions, things like that. And so I'm not expecting that this will be a 75-minute meeting most days. Today might be a little bit longer because I'm going to sort of show you some of the intricacies about online format and all that kind of stuff. Feel free to interrupt me as we go. Feel free to send some chat. I know there are a couple questions in the chats already. I'll answer those questions after I sort of do this explanation part. If you have any questions about what I'm explaining here, by all means, let me know. Let me take you through our Blackboard site, though. So our Blackboard site has been revamped for online purposes, and it looks like this. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I think I'm going to take this and move it over here. So can someone confirm? You can see my computer screen, right, with Blackboard? Can someone just confirm that for me? Great. So on the left-hand side of the page here, there's a bunch of new items here. I updated our syllabus. You can look at that if you want to. But the new things are like online course schedule, assignments, video lectures, Hangout and Google Meet links, web work. So let me sort of go through those things one at a time. The general idea is I'm posting videos ahead of time that you watch, and then we meet here to discuss the video. Yeah, so I guess there's there's two versions of me in here right now because I'm presenting my screen. So you should be looking at the screen version of that. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Everyone's able to see my Blackboard screen here. Does anyone else have any issues with that? Let me know.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, wonderful. So, so the idea is I'm posting videos ahead of time. You can figure out what schedule works for you to watch those, and then we meet here for a limited amount of time. I'm not planning on meeting here for 75 minutes at a time. Sorry, I just want to make sure everyone's all set here. Brendan, are you able to see that? So you can hover over my video, which should come up when I'm talking, I think, and then pin that in the middle. So anyway, I'm posting my videos. I've got some video lecture reminders in here, but I mean, basically for every class, you should be watching a video. And when you go into one of those reminders, there's a link to my YouTube page. And so if you open that in a new screen, it'll take you to my linear algebra playlist. Let me get that going here. And I've already got videos for this week, and then I made the video for next Monday this morning. And so the first 3 videos are up. You should have watched the video 323 for today. So the idea is, you know, this video is just like normal class, right? Me filling out the notes just like we do in class, the exact same notes, the exact same process. One of the main differences is I usually print these out for you as we go, and so I'll have to post the blank version. And so if you go back to our Blackboard page under course documents, you can see I've got a spot here that's got the blank documents. I've already got chapters 2, 3, and 4 up there. I'll post chapters 5 and 6 as we get closer to them. So here are the blank versions. You'll watch the video ahead of time, fill them out, and maybe write down any questions you have for these sessions. Now, there's also this link right here that has all the remaining course notes. So, you know, usually I post them like after class, I scan and post them. Well, what I did was I just compiled all my notes from last semester and put them in a document. So this announcements and reminder page you can see is from 10/28, right? So this is from last semester. So none of this stuff is going to be true, but all the notes are relevant and exactly what I'd fill out in the video. So if you want to just download the finished versions, one option you could do is just have the finished versions in front of you, maybe print out these finished notes. And then as you watch the video, if I can switch back over here, you can just sort of go through the filled out version and not have to take any notes, and then just add some notes or questions on there as they come up. That's one option. The other option would be to just print out the blank versions, which are in this document, for example, right? These are all the blank notes. And then you could actually fill out the notes just like we normally do in class as you go. What I want you to do whatever works for you, and however I can help, I'm happy to do that. As I mentioned, the general idea is you watch the video and fill out the notes ahead of time. You get some questions, you look at the homework, you get some questions, and then this session is primarily meant to answer those questions. Like, I didn't understand what you said in the notes about this, or hey, why did you get this in the notes? Or hey, I looked at this homework problem and I'm not able to figure it out. I can help with homework and notes like that in these kind of sessions. I should have also mentioned too in the explaining the Google Meet thing, if you're having problems with like internet connection or your webcam skippy or whatever, my voice is coming across not clear, you can try turning off your video or your audio. That'll help reduce the amount of work your computer is doing and help my video come through a little clearer. So if you're having problems with internet, strong internet, reducing, you know, turning your video off would help with that. Okay, so that's sort of the general class approach. Again, I'm not taking attendance on these calls, but I am expecting that you come and you ask your questions. If you're not able to come, or just in general, I'm going to try to be available almost any time certainly during the business day, I will be available, and probably a decent amount of times in the evenings, and I will do my best to be available as much as possible on the weekend. I mean, you know, what am I really going to do? I can't really do much. We're all staying home here with my family. Like, I'm going to go on a walk a day, but otherwise I'm around. And so if you don't want to ask questions in this video or things come up outside these sessions, you're welcome to send me a message and we can do a video chat. I'll show you some more about how I can help you, but let me keep going with Blackboard here. So the course calendar here sort of tells you when class is and when things are due. And what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to make homework due on Wednesday nights. And so let me start over here. My main goal here is to try to make this class as normal as it would have been. So like run the class how it would have in a normal session, except you're going to watch the videos on your own time. I'm trying to provide some flexibility by putting the videos up ahead of time. The main difference is that it's very challenging to collect and grade written homework via online. Hopefully you can understand that. And so there's already 2 homework assignments out there that are supposed to be due this week. And so I'd still like to collect those written assignments. And so that's what these are right here. This is a 1.8 is supposed to be due today, and then 1.9 is supposed to be due on Wednesday. And so I'd still like to collect those as they were assigned previously, and I'll show you how to do that. But then moving forward, what I'm trying to do is migrate everything into a WebWork online homework setting. So let me show you those 2 things. So if you go to assignments, it'll show you all the assignments coming up. And here's where you will submit your homework from 1.8 and 1.9. So these were assigned before break. They were supposed to be due last week, and I'm making them due this week. Technically, 1.8 is due today, and I'm hoping everyone will be able to turn this in today. The way you would turn it in is you come to Blackboard, click right there, and then you can upload your file to do that. Ideally, you would scan and post your images. If you don't have a scanner, I will accept a picture, like take a picture with your phone and here. So 1.8 and 1.9 are from the book. 1.8, you can see I signed before break, it's from the book. 1.9 is also from the book. After 1.8 and 1.9, so starting in chapter 2, we're going to be doing web work. Okay, and so web work is going to be due every Wednesday at midnight. This is just sort of setting the date, but the way you actually access web work is right here on the left-hand navigation page. Hopefully everyone can see my cursor right here. It's over web work. If you click that link right there, it'll take you to this link, and this takes you to the web work site. So I'm not a huge fan of online homework in general, especially for linear algebra. I think it's much better to have things turned in. That's why I have you turn things in. But given our circumstances, I've worked pretty hard to try to get stuff moved online, and I will continue to work hard to move things online. So you can see I've already got the first 5 assignments posted, and the first 2 are going to be due next Wednesday at midnight. Although I'm realizing I may have to change those. No, that should be fine, actually. That should be fine. And when you go into them, the way WebWork works is you go in, you can have unlimited chances to answer every question, so you can try it as many times as you want to get it correct. You should be writing down your answer so that you can study from these things in the future. So please try to take this seriously, in other words. The whole point of this homework is to give you the practice to be successful on tests. So I hope you take this seriously. Anyway, you enter your answers, you kind of do the problem, you would enter your answer as needed, and you hit submit, and it tells you whether or not it's correct. If you need help with this, you can click this email instructor button right here, and then send me an email. And I would really prefer that you do this when you ask questions, because it'll link me to your question and show me exactly the question you have issues with. If you just send me an email and you say, oh, I have questions about number 6, it'll take me a long time to figure out what your problem is. If you just do it right here, I can usually answer you very quickly. So it'll help me answer you quickly by doing that. So let me just say again, there's 2 written assignments due this week because they were already assigned before break, and I'm kind of assuming people already have those finished. And so you can turn in 1.8 and 1.9 by submitting pictures here. But after this week, everything's going to be online in WebWork, and you'll be doing 1 or 2 assignments a week. Again, do Wednesday nights at midnight. It's not going to be like random days anymore. It's going to be specifically Wednesdays at midnight, and every Wednesday at midnight. So you can just maybe add that to your schedule or your calendar or whatever. Okay. Let me show you. I'll answer questions in just a second here. The other thing I want to point out is this Google Meet and Hangout tab right here. And so you all made it to Google Meet, so you obviously know this link. I'm generally going to use this same link all semester. So you don't have to wait for a link to come out. It's going to be the same link that's on Blackboard, the same link that's in this email that I sent out today. It's going to be the same link. There's I've got 2 of those. I forgot to delete this one. So there's my Google Meet link right there, same link. The other thing I've got going on here is this Hangouts chat. And so I've added all of us to a common Hangouts thread. And so this is a way just to ask like text questions. So our linear algebra class is right here. I added everyone to this class. I can see most of you guys are maybe already added in here. And so this is like a way you can say like, oh, when is that test coming up? And that everyone can see that question and I can give a nice answer. If people ask homework questions here, that would be good because then everyone would see the answer to those homework questions, for example. And this is just like basically just a nice chat way that we can all stay connected and things like that. If you want to see if I'm available, my general plan is to just have this open on my computer during the day. So I can see messages coming in. I'll get them pushed to my phone. And then if you want to say like, hey, can you meet for a video session? Like we can, everyone else will say, oh, they're starting a video session. Maybe I should join in. And so we can like, just stay on the same page, ask questions, see if I'm around for help. The way I plan on helping remotely is using my document camera. So I can switch my screen over. Let me show you what I mean here. I can switch my screen over to my doc cam, and then it turns into like just like what you see in class, basically, where I can like put notes up, zoom in and out. I can write on this page. You can ask questions about things, and I can clarify. I can put a blank piece of paper up and do homework problems or whatever. So I can basically help no different than I can help in class or in office hours doing this. Again, the main difference is a lot of the work is sort of shifted over, not the work, but a lot of like the motivation and the checking in on yourself and the drive, I guess, is coming from your end, right? We're not going to do weekly quizzes anymore, which sort of keep you on task. Instead of having, well, we may still do tests and things like that. Let me talk more about that in a second, but let me see if there are questions first. I know there was at least one question. I think Brendan early said, do we have a date for quiz 2? Or are we just going to ignore it since exam 1 would cover that anyway? Yeah, so let me talk about assessments. We're not going to do any more quizzes, basically. And what I'd like to do, I would still like to have 2 tests and a final. Although we're supposed to have a test like coming up here, and I still haven't quite figured out how to do tests. So we're not, test 1 is going to be probably the second week of April would be my guess. And the way that tests and the final are probably going to work is I'm probably going to have everyone log onto Zoom, since Zoom will allow me to monitor everyone's webcam individually. And then I'll mail the tests out. I'll either email it or put it on Blackboard, and you'll download it and you'll just sort of work through a written test at your own pace in your own home, just with me sort of monitoring you or proctoring you remotely via your webcam. So that's my general plan, but like I said, I'm still trying to work some kinks out. I have a department meeting on Wednesday where we're going to talk about test plans, and so let me think about that a little more. We won't have a test, I don't think, until at least the second week of April, but I kind of would like to still have at least 1 test and a final, possibly still 2 tests. I'm, again, still trying to work everything out. Everyone in this world is trying to figure out how to do this, myself and administrators included. Okay, what questions can I ask? What's come up so far that people might want to ask about? So Megan asks, will tests have to be completed in a specific amount of time? What I'd like to do is do them synchronously, kind of similar to what we're doing now, where everyone's taking it at the same time, but I won't put a time limit on it. I'll probably just say you can finish it at your own. I don't put time limits on tests in general anyway. So I'll write it for a normal time length, and you can finish it whenever you want. But it would like us all to take it together during this like 11 o'clock block, if that makes sense. And if you don't have a printer, that's not a big deal because you can just like look at it on your computer and write answers on a piece of paper or something like that. Again, that's my current plan. That's still evolving. Another question was, will we be able to return old homeworks online to review old questions other than writing them down? So you mean like I have some of your homeworks, will I be able to pass them back? Is that sort of what you mean? Do I have one of your homeworks now? Like the web work questions, we'll be able to return to old colders. I'm sorry, now I understand. Yes, the web works will be up for the whole semester. They don't go away. You can always access them later. Okay, so let me get to this one question, Megan, then I'll clarify again. So when you log into web work, let me share my screen again to show you that. It should be your Okay, I've got my screen presenting again, just so everyone can see. If you're not looking at it, I'm sharing my Blackboard screen. When you go to WebWork, it should log in with whatever gets you into Blackboard. So I'm logged in already, so let me log out and show you what that looks like. So this is my login, for example. So blevy1 is my, what I use to get into WebWork, or Blackboard, I mean, and then this is my Blackboard password. And so whatever gets you into Blackboard should get you into WebWork. If you're having problems with that, let me know. So it could be that I added you wrong. I had to add you all manually. Let me double check William's entry real quick to see if there's something wrong with it specifically. Does this look right for you, William? Is this your student ID? And is this your login, wrobin6? Um, Is it taking you to the correct place? It should. Is anyone else able to log in? Okay, so it's Todd can. So maybe let me work something out with you afterwards, William. Maybe we can share screens and figure out what's going on if that's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's set up basically enough people are not having a problem with it. So there might just be something minor with your login. Maybe we can look at that together. If you would just stick around afterwards, William, maybe we can do that. Another question was, let's see, Megan had asked the time question. Did I miss that question? Okay, so she's basically asking, I think, whether or not people need to be here during this time. Oh, maybe during tests it might be an issue. We can work. I'm flexible. I'll be flexible. So that's one of the reasons I'm not going to take attendance during these sessions, though, because I know people's schedule have changed, work has changed. Maybe you have other things going on now, whatever. So like this session and this time slot is supposed to be very helpful, and I know most people have it in their schedules. But if you don't have it in your schedule anymore, or something's changed or whatever, we can work out some other time to do those things. Other questions about the way classes run, and including in that, I should mention that the school has told us that they may be able to loan out like computers or help people with internet access and things like that. So if this plan is restrictive to people because they don't have equipment or something, or they have some issue or internet problems, please let me know and I might be able to help you with that. You can either send a message or send me an email. Let's see, Vincent said, because there are no more quizzes, will homework be graded for more? Yeah, I haven't really thought about that. I think I might shift a little more weight towards the homework. So yes, I think that the answer to that question is yes. I don't have the exact number at this point in time, though. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm making a note of things I need to look into. That's something that I'll consider. Other questions about the general class structure, the way things will be run? Yes, we have a quiz grade, but we won't have more quiz grades. So you'll get some percentage for quiz, but maybe instead of it being worth 20%, maybe it'll be worth 10, and then that extra 10 will go towards homework. That's sort of what I'm thinking. And let me figure out exactly how that'll work. But the point is, and we're not going to have any more quizzes, so I'm not going to weight that the same as I would have otherwise. Other thoughts? You're welcome to turn your mic on and talk to it. You don't need to necessarily use the chat. There are things I can clarify about the class structure or how things will run, or other concerns or anything you might have about that. Something I'm sort of weighing in my mind that I think I'm probably going to implement now that I think about it is I think I'm going to require that you have to pass the final exam to pass the class. And before anyone freaks out about that, people in my other class are like freaking out. The reason for that is because everything's online and I'm not doing any more quizzes. Something that people could, in theory, do is inappropriately inappropriately answer the homework, basically, right? You could sort of cheat on the homework and look up the answers or use some app to get the answers. And so someone could, in theory, have an awesome grade going into tests and then fail the test because they didn't actually learn anything. So I really would like to avoid that by just saying that you're going to need to pass the final exam to pass the course. Now, there's really no reason to freak out about that. If you're doing what you need to do and you go into the final exam with a passing grade, you will pass the final. Again, what I'd like to avoid is someone who has a 90 average going into the final and then failing it because they didn't actually earn that 90. They were just sort of cheating, and then they end up failing the final, but it didn't really matter because they had already built their grade up inappropriately before that. So I'm just trying to avoid that. Please don't freak out about that policy. If you're doing what you should be doing, you should be just fine. I should also mention that I believe the school is going to be pushing through a policy that will allow you to take courses pass fail. There's nothing official on that yet. This needs to go through governance, but it's possible that certain people will be able to take the course pass fail, which is an option. A passing grade would be not a 0, so 1.1, I think. No, people don't fail tests, but people usually don't fail tests because I feel like I do a good job of keeping everyone up to date, right? Like I collect homework, handwritten homework, I pass it back with feedback, I do regular quizzes, which keeps you on task. And so people don't usually fail tests, at least partly because I try to keep people on task throughout the course. The difference here is you need to do everything yourself. And I really think most people in this course are going to be fine, but I think some people might get into the pitfall of sort of, in short, half-assing things, right? Sort of cheating their way through homework and not really learning. And so I just want to implement something that encourages people not to do that. And so I think if I just say you need to pass the final to pass the course, it'll force people in some sense to do some learning. That's really the only reason I'd like to say that. I really think if you're doing what you need to do and you're watching the videos and you're asking questions, not only are you going to pass, you're going to do well. And so I'm just trying to avoid the people who get into that pitfall of doing minimal effort to get by. Please try to take this seriously and use these resources. I want to help you. This can be a normal class. It really can be fairly normal. You just need to make the effort to sort of watch the videos and come to these sessions. Right? And if you don't do that, there's like nothing stopping you from not doing it, basically. And so I'm trying to think about ways to encourage people to do those things. Other thoughts, so I do want to switch over and talk about the material, see if there are any questions about the material. So you should have watched the video for today. I sent out a number of emails sort of talking about, I posted the video early last week. I'm hoping you were able to watch the video for today. And so I would like to switch over and see if there are questions about that video, but if there are other questions about the course, I'm happy to answer. So the question was, what if I get sick during or before the final? Let's cross that bridge when we get there. We'll be flexible. If you're talking about being, whether it's coronavirus or not, if you're sick, we'll be flexible there. While you mentioned the final, though, I think another thing that is currently being worked on is I think they might be extending the semester by 1 week. So don't take my word on these things. I think you might be able to take classes pass fail, and I think the semester might be extended by 1 week. But those things, everything is in flux right now, as I'm sure you know. What else? What other things are on your mind? What other concerns do you have about this course?
Wait. So I have a question.
Yep.
So what? So the homework's gonna weigh the same, right? Since you're
So
changing.
what I was just saying before was, let me just pull up the syllabus so I don't remember what it's
Sorry,
about.
yeah.
syllabus says the syllabus says that homework is going to account for 20% and quizzes are going to count for 15. Well, that was under the assumption that we'd have like 5 to 7 quizzes. Since we only had 2, I'm not sure it makes sense to weight those 2 quizzes 15%. So what I think I'm probably going to do is make quizzes worth maybe 10% and then shift 5% over to homeworks potentially.
Okay.
And so it'll probably, homework might be worth 25. I might even shift some of the test over there too if we don't end up having some tests. So that's in an effort to help you basically. Like there may have been someone who failed one of the quizzes, say, and then all of a sudden that matters a lot because we're not going to have more quizzes, right? And so I'm trying to avoid those kind of situations by shifting some of the weight towards something you still have influence over, which would be homework. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on the specifics of that. That was really the first time it occurred to me. Whoever brought that up, thank you for bringing that up. But that I do think that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm Aaron, by the way, so just you could see the chat bubble, I think. I don't know.
Say that again?
Yeah. I'm Aaron. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know if you
no,
see the
I
name
knew
of
that was
the.
Aaron. Yes,
Yep. Okay.
I realized. Thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
Jason said, "Would Khan Academy be a good study tool?" Yeah, Khan Academy is nice if you can find. It's been a while since I've looked at Khan Academy with linear algebra, but yeah, there should be some good linear algebra videos on Khan Academy. Not just Khan Academy, YouTube in general is a nice source of videos. Yeah, Megan says she has found that to be helpful, so I think that would be a good thing to look at. There's lots of online resources for this course. For sure. Other general questions before we look at some material, or see if there are questions about material?
Just so like, hold on, is anyone else talking?
No, you can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just like in general, just make sure off the top of my head, I remember what was on there. On to basically means that the range of the transformation fills the entire codomain, right?
Before you say anything else, Finton, let me just see if there are general questions. That's a material question. Are there questions about like course structure, things that the people are worried about or want clarity on or anything? And I'll just mention again, if you have like computer issues or internet issues, let me know and we might be able to help with that. But are there any sort of structural issues you want to talk about before Finton takes over here?
If I know like what we had to learn today, can I can I go get lunch or something? I don't understand that part.
Like in terms of like meeting, like coming here and meet?
Like if I need
so
to meet them, can I head out?
The purpose of these meeting times are to get common questions out of the way. Like basically, all of you might have the same question, and it may not be possible for me to answer that question in 25 different video chats throughout a day. It won't be. Plain and simple. I won't have that kind of time. But I'm hoping that if we all just sort of meet here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then those questions can be answered, and we just move on with our day. My goal here is to record these sessions like I'm doing right now and then post them to my YouTube page. So in theory, even if you weren't here, you could go back and watch the videos. But then again, if no one comes to these sessions, I won't make a video. So let me start over. You should come to the sessions if you can. If you really don't think you need to come to the session, but you're available, maybe just put it on in the background with whatever you're doing, right? If you really just want to get lunch instead, Zach, or something like that, sure, you can do that. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But what would be unfortunate is if you get confused later and then you ask me a question that I answered in the chat, basically, right? Like that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, if you feel great about a section, you did the homework, it's no problem. Like, fine, you don't have to be in the video session. But I really think you should try if you can. I don't know, like maybe it's just me, but like, what else are you guys doing? Is sort of what I'm thinking. Like, I know people are working still and stuff, but everyone's schedule for the most part is forced to be at home. So like, if you can be here, I suggest you try to do it. But again, I know people's schedules have changed; they may not be able to. Let me see. Are there a bunch of messages? I don't know if any of those were questions here. Megan just posted a nice YouTube link if anyone wants to bookmark that, click that and bookmark it. Looks like some people think that's a nice option. I saw a question about Tutor. Yeah, so Nick asked, is the Tutor Center open? They are doing online tutoring still. And so if you go to the Fitchburg State general tutor website, there are ways to schedule one-on-one appointments with tutors. I think that's something they're still sort of fleshing out and thinking about schedules and all that kind of stuff. But yes, there is still remote tutoring. And this might also be a good time to start using me a little bit more too. I think I can be maybe more helpful than the tutors can because I have a document camera. Other things before we look at material? These are good thoughts. Other things you want to talk about? As I mentioned, this is being recorded, so I should be able to post this on my YouTube page later if you want to go back and look at it. All right, so if there aren't questions about the general class, I'll let Finton go ahead and ask his question, which was about the video for today. So as I mentioned, you should have watched the video about one-to-one and onto mappings and filled out the notes. What were you going to say, Finton? What was your question?
Just in general, like the main takeaway was that onto means that the range of the transformation fills the entire codomain, and you find that, you can check if it's onto by if the matrix, so T, has a pivot in every row. And for one-to-one, that means basically 1 point, before it's transformed equals 1 point after it's transformed. And you find that out, you can tell whether or not it's one-to-one if there's no free variable. And if there's a free variable, it's not one-to-one.
Correct.
And
yeah, that's right.
that was like the main takeaway of that video with respect to 1.9, I think it was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 1.9. Everything you said there is true. So onto means the entire codomain gets filled by the range. So this one is not onto because you can see like the range is like a piece of paper inside a cube. And so that doesn't fill the whole space. But this one is onto because the range and the codomain are both the piece of paper in this case. So it's filled up the whole space. So kind of practically speaking, you can go from a bigger space into a smaller space and fill it up, but you can't go from a smaller space into a bigger space and fill it up. That should make sense, right? Like you can take a cube and condense it down into a piece of paper, but you can't take a piece of paper and expand it into a cube, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And one-to-one then is saying that every single image of a T is unique. So these ones are not one-to-one because these are like a bunch of different points in the domain, both getting sent to 0. Where this one is one-to-one because everything in the domain is getting sent to its own place. Just like you said, that comes down to whether or not there's a free variable, right? We know that things are unique, solutions are unique, that is, if there's no free variable. And so if there's no free variable, we do have a one-to-one mapping. And so that's exactly what we did in the example here. We take the matrix that represents the linear transformation and you row reduce it, which is this version right here. And just looking right here, we can see whether or not it's one-to-one or onto, right? So it's onto because there's a pivot in every row. So that means every AX equal B has a solution, but it's not one-to-one because we have a free variable right there. And so that's how I think about those two things. I spent a lot of time in that video trying to build up the concept, I think, but in practice, finding those things out, it's fairly straightforward. It's, does it have a free variable for one-to-one? And is there a pivot in every row for onto, just like you said. Let me get back. I saw that I missed a question from Charisma. Charisma had asked about graphing calculators on tests. That's a good question. What I was thinking as far as graphing calculators would be to probably, I'll have to think about it a little more, but I'll either just let you use some web calculator, in which case I'll probably send out one you can use, or I may just row reduce the matrices for you right on the test. I'm trying to scan through my brain quickly and think about where that might be an issue. It's kind of an issue for finding inverses, which you guys will see in the next video, next couple of videos, but that's okay. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So I'll probably just row reduce matrices for you. Maybe even sometimes I'll row reduce one that doesn't need to be row reduced just to sort of test you about, like maybe every time there's a matrix, I'll just row reduce it on the test. And then if you need it, you need it. And if you don't, you don't. And it'll be kind of up to you to decide whether or not you do. You'll probably almost always need it, right? So let me think about that a little more. But yeah, so it'll either be I'll give you some online one to use, or I'll just row reduce everything for you. Sorry for interrupting there, though. I think I answered Quentin's question, if that's all right. I'm happy to clarify what I just said to him, or answer other questions about this video. What else can I do for you guys right now? Just going to go look at my video here and see how many views I've had to get an idea of how many people have actually done this. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't know if I've said this. Like, I'm working very hard to get you as much background as you need, to be as supportive as I can, to be as available as I can. There's been 51 views, so maybe it has been watched. But on your end, I can't make you watch the video, right? I can't make you do the work. I can't make you come to these video sessions and ask questions. So like, that part's obviously on you. And so anyway, I don't mean to like belabor the point or lecture or anything here, but I feel like there should be more questions, I guess is what I'm sort of thinking. Is there other things I can help with? I mess up something in the notes that wasn't clear? Or did everyone do the homework? The homework's okay?
Do you think you could go over question 17 on the homework?
Sure. Which 1.8 or 9?
1.8. You know, the one that was due today.
What were you asking about 1.82, Sydney? Okay. Yeah, so I made the due date for that homework at 5 p.m. So I'm hoping people will be able to do that by 5 p.m. Okay, let me pull that one up here. So 1.8, number, which one?
Number 17.
17? Okay, so number 17 says, let T take things from R2 to R2 be a linear transformation that maps 5,2 into 2,1 and 3,1 into minus 3,1. Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. That one's not that bad. So, and then it wants us to do these things. It wants us, so we know things about what the transformation does to U and V separately, and then we can figure out what it does to these like linear combinations of them, basically. So that question uses the main property of linear transformations. Real quick. We want to use these main properties for this question. Let's see, there's some more questions popping up. So these are the two things we're going to use. Let me write those down on a new piece of paper. So this is 1.8, number 17. And moving forward, let me know if I'm getting an external microphone. I ordered one that should be here soon. So hopefully the sound improves. I don't know how bad it is. I've had bad experiences with my sound. But let me know if the sound's weird or the image is off or it's blurry or anything like that. Okay, so we can do 15 as well. Let's do 17 first. So 17, we know these two things are true. This is the definition of a linear transformation. Oops, that should be a T. So it says, like, if you have a constant in a transformation, you can pull it out front. And this one says if you're adding two things together in a transformation, you can break it up separately. So number 17 tells us that T of, let me get my book again. It tells us that 5,2 is sent to 2,1. So that means this. That's what the first thing's telling us. And the second thing is telling us that 1, 3 gets mapped into minus 1, 3. And so this is U, and this one's V. And so if we wanted to do like T of 3U, for example, we use this property, right? These are the properties we're using. We would use this property and just pull the 3 out front, right? This is 3 times T of U. Well, T of U was 2, 1. And so this is 3 times 2, 1, which is 6, 3. And so that's how you sort of approach that one. So then if you were going to do the linear combination, like the second one is 3u plus 2v, that would be 3t of u plus 2t of v. So that's using both properties together. You break them up, and then you pull the constant out, and then we know what each one of these things are separately. Right, this part is 2, 1. This part is minus 1, 3. And so you can simplify that down into one vector. I think Finton asked that question, but generally, and a couple people said they were confused about that one too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are there other questions about this one before we look at 15?
Oh, Professor.
Yep.
Is there gonna be ever a case where, given certain vectors that you take from a transformation, you have to find the original matrix from that was used to transform the vector?
Only if you're being told how the unit vectors are being transformed, right? So we know that in general, t of x equals ax for some matrix A, right? And the way we figure out matrix A is by applying the transformation to E1, E2, all the way to En. So this is from, this is also 1.8, isn't it? Let's see here. This is what we do in 1.9 actually. This is what we did right before break. We did this. And so this is the transformation applied to E sub I. And so if you're being told those specific ones, that's telling you the columns of the matrix. But if you're being told like random ones like this, you cannot get to the matrix itself given this information. Does that clarify that for you? I think that's sort of what you're saying. You're sort of saying like, could you take this information and get to the matrix representation? And the answer is no. You take this to get to that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Other questions about this one? I know I saw Megan had asked about 15. I'm happy to look at 15. Anything else about this one before we look at 15? Just reminding myself what 15 is all about. Okay, let's look at 15 then. So the question 15, this one right here. And so what this is saying is, yeah, so it's, I don't know if that's blurry. Let me try to focus it. Because it gets, okay, so it's telling us this transformation is represented by this matrix. In other words, when you want to apply this transformation to X, you just take X and you multiply it by this matrix. That's what this is saying. And so what 15 is saying then, let me write that down, is that T of X equals AX, or A equals what's given in 15. And what's given in 15 is this. And so it's saying, the question says, plot U and V, and then plot their images under the transformation. And so we're being told that U is 5, 2, and V is minus 2, 4. And so let's apply the transformation to those vectors, which just means take those vectors and multiply it by A. That's what the transformation tells us to do. So T of U, in other words, is this times U. And when you do that multiplication, you'll end up with 0, 2. And when you apply the transformation to V, It just takes the second entry and it puts it in the second spot. And so what happened here is it took the vectors 5, 2. Let's say this is 5, 2 right here. That's u. And then the vector at -2, 4. Let's say that's right here. This is v. And it projected them onto the x2 axis. And so the new versions of those matrices, the images of those vectors, I mean, right, it goes from 5, 2 to 0, 2. So this is the same height. It just comes in here and goes right here. So this is t of v, or t of u. And then t of v just takes this, puts it right on the x or the y-axis again. That would be t of v. And so let me stop there. I know we haven't finished answering the second part of it, but I think if Megan asked this question, does that clarify it for Megan, or anyone else have a question about this?
I guess I have one question about this. Basically, it says at the end to provide a geometric description, and
Yes.
when you look at the back of the book, it says that it projects it onto the x2 axis.
Yep,
How
I was going to use that word.
specific do you usually kind of want the geometric description to be? Like, how much terminology do we actually have to sort of know there? Because I just sort of said that it, like, reduced it to the x2 axis.
That would be fine, yeah. So the word projection is a linear algebra term that we're not going to actually talk about in this particular course. I don't think we get to that. And so the word projection means something specific. It means, like, you could imagine if light was shining down this way on that vector, it would make the t of v vector. That's what a projection is. You kind of think about, like, projecting when I stand in front of a class, right? My image gets projected onto the screen, for example.
Like a hand puppet shadow.
Exactly, like a shadow, like a puppet shadow thing. And so that's what the word projection means. But in these geometric things, just saying, like, oh, it takes the vectors and it puts them on the x2 axis or the y-axis even, is fine. That's a fine answer. Other thoughts about this particular question? So this is number 15. I should have mentioned that. This is number 15 in the homework. The unfortunate thing is I was sort of planning on, like, doing all this and then scanning these pages, but I have a really bad scanner at home, and we're kind of locked out of buildings now. They've, like, shut down buildings and things. So I'm probably not going to be able to scan all this stuff, but my general plan is to record these sessions. This is being recorded right now, and then post the recording to YouTube. So you can go later and hear me talk all over again. How scary is that? Other questions, I'm happy, I should mention again, this is a longer session, right? I spent at least a half hour. I spent probably 40 minutes talking about the new course structure and answering questions and things. And we've really only spent about 20 minutes talking about course material. And so generally speaking, I expect these things to probably last more like somewhere in the, 15 to 40 minute range. It depends. I'm happy to spend 75 minutes every time if you want, but it's really just driven by your questions, and so it'll be up to you. I see that Todd is suggesting an app called Cam Scanner that's decent for scanning. Maybe I'll look into that. Write that down. I also feel like if I'm making these videos, I may not need to necessarily scan things as well, but maybe I'll look into that, though, and maybe that's a good thing to think about for the homework you're going to submit later. So if you don't have a scanner, you would want, maybe you should look into this Cam Scanner thing. I am going to want the final exams returned to me in images. And so if at all possible, please scan them. Please scan them if you can. Like, I've got a scanner. It just does one page at a time. So if I've got a bunch of pages to scan, I'm not going to do it that way. But once a semester, twice a semester, if it's for an exam or something, please take the time to try to scan those back. If you don't have a scanner, I will accept careful images with your phone, maybe using this Cam Scanner app that Todd's talking about. But I'm going to want an image, yes. Let's see. Ariana says for number 11, put number 11 up here. The number 11 is asking, here's a vector B. Let A be the matrix in number 9. Is B in the range of the linear transformation? Aha. So she's saying for number 11, we just need to see if B is a solution to the matrix. Yes. So for number 11, that's exactly right. You want to see if AX equals B has a solution, i.e., is a consistent matrix. You don't actually need to you don't need to find the solution, right? You just put it in the matrix, put it in just regular reduced form, doesn't even have to be fully reduced, and then that'll tell you whether or not there's a solution. Other questions? Anything at all? Okay, let me just reiterate one more time. I'm gonna put this video online. I'm hoping you'll join me on Wednesday at Wednesday at 12:30. Excuse me. There's another video already on YouTube, waiting for you to check it out. And generally speaking, I am available during the day at most any time. I would prefer you leave a message in Google Hangouts to see if I'm around, but you're welcome to send an email as well, and we can jump on a video call, and I can do this right anytime we want. This is at my desk at home. Please keep reaching out. Please make sure you're checking your email. I know that's like hard to do during the semester, but my goodness, you've got to be checking your email at all times. If you don't already, get the push notifications on your phone. I started doing that recently. We just gotta do it this semester. Gotta stay connected. Okay, if there aren't other questions, I'm gonna end this this video. Stop recording. And